This video is useful for undergraduate, postgraduate and PhD students. For PhD and master students, it is compulsory to publish research paper to get their degree. And for undergraduate student, though it is not compulsory, but it will definitely add value to their CV as well as in their knowledge. They can present their work in various conferences, technical events. Myself, Sandeep Gharat, I am going to tell you about research paper, its basic techniques. This is the brief outline of the talk. I'll be talking on what do you mean by research paper, sample paper, how to select the paper title, affiliation abstract, main contents, and in the end references. What is research paper? What is technical paper? It is a type of article, research paper, or even review paper which consists of these sections. Section includes abstract, introduction, materials, methodology, what kind of experimental work you have carried out, results and discussion, conclusion and references. The main important sections are introduction, methods, work, results and conclusion. Outline of paper. Every paper has a title, name of the author, affiliation, 4 important sections, acknowledgement and references. We'll see these sections one by one. How to select paper title? Paper title indicates the subject and scope of the study. You should avoid using abbreviations. The paper title should create a positive impression which boosts the reader interest. The title should be 10 to 15 words, should not be too short or too long. You should avoid writing study of, analysis of kind of words while selecting the paper title. Usually study of is used is a thesis title, and thesis title or a report title cannot be a paper title. You should use the correct nomenclature from the field of your study. Titles are usually in the form of phrase or also in the form of question. Let's see an example. The example is silo discharge of binary granular mixture. If you see the title, it clearly indicates it's a binary mixture. So there are 2 different materials combined, and the system uses a silo hopper through which the material is passed. We can modify the title as if you have done a simulation, a numerical simulation of binary granular mixture in a 3-dimensional silo or 2-dimensional silo. If you have done experimental work, you can write experimental investigation of binary granular mixture in silo. Authors and affiliation. Affiliation is usually called as the working place, institute or organization, or even research laboratory. You can add name of the collaborator or sponsor of this work. There are presenting author and the author who contributed in the particular work. If you are presenting in the conferences usually ask for presenting author. So presenting author name should be first. If you are submitting the paper in the journal, typically it is called as corresponding author, to whom all the correspondence is to be made. If there is a single author, let's see an example. The name of the author, the affiliation IIT Bombay and the corresponding author. If there are more than one author, then you can write the name of the author. And if the author is from the same institute, you don't have to add the affiliation again. But if the second or third author is from the other affiliation, you have to add that affiliation in the affiliation section. Abstract. I will suggest to write abstract in the end of the paper, but you can write initial draft and then modify it. But you should not forget to modify the draft in the end, because abstract is usually read by the reviewer, based on which the selection or the reviewer comments is usually received. It should be 300 to 350 words. What are the important section or points you should include in the abstract? The scope, motivations, key results, achievements, and conclusions of the paper. Keywords which relates the work or the title of the paper. The keywords should be 4 to 5. We also call it highlighted words of the paper. You can see the two examples. Removal of pesticides from wastewater using biosorbents. So pesticides, wastewater, biosorbents are the keywords which are seen in the paper title, but removal of pesticides is nothing but degradation. Also you can add as another keywords. Simulation of stir tank reactor using CFD. So computational fluid dynamics is the keywords. It's a stir tank reactor, so reactor is the keywords. This is the simulation work. The work is based on mass transfer operations, so mass transfer is the keywords. If it is based on heat transfer, you can include heat transfer as the keywords. While writing introduction, there are 3-4 sections, and you have to be very careful writing these sections. In the first 8-10 lines, you should write the source, background, and the necessity of the study. In the second section, in 3-4 lines, you have to define the problems. Why you are kind of original work or the problem statement. Whoever has done similar kind of work in the previous, right, or you have taken a motivation from that particular work, you should cite that papers or their work, and in the end you have to write your brief outline of your work. Materials, methodology. What are the different chemicals or materials you have used in the experiments while doing that study? If you have purchased from any laboratory or any place, you have to mention that. Methodology adopted. If it is experimental methodology, you have to explain that. If it is simulation, then you have to write that simulation methods. If you have done your own code, then you have to mention that code. While writing this methodology or carrying out experiments, if you have done any analysis or any analytical methods you have adopted, we have to write that methods. Experimental work usually contains the details of the experimental work along with the setup, so you can draw a schematic diagram like this. To support the schematic diagram, you can draw a picture like this, or you can have an image. Of course, these are not same, but typically the photo. You should avoid only using the photograph. The photograph supported by schematic diagram is, of course, always useful. Results and discussion. What are the different parameters you have studied? The various plots you should include in this. The correct interpretation of the work carried out. The example is mentioned in the slides. The average velocity versus time, and the graph is for typically two depth, 4 and 6 mm. The 4 mm graph plot is mentioned by the red line, 6 mm mentioned by the black line. And the experiments were repeated 3-4 times, so error bar at standard deviation is also mentioned. So you have to include that in the results and section discussions. Conclusions. Concluding remarks of the experimental work or simulation work carried out. Output findings. You should avoid writing kind of summary in this section, but yeah, the main conclusion parts. Output obtained in terms of efficiency of the process or work carried out. Different results obtained. If you have results like lab scale to large scale implementation, you should specify that. Any optimum results included. Any cost saving or energy saving in your work, you have to include in this conclusion section. Acknowledgement. Whoever helped in this work, directly or indirectly, you should write there as an acknowledgement. If you got any fundings from private or government organizations, you have to include that. Typically called as sponsor project or financial help. Example is, this work was done at IIT Bombay and the project was sponsored by Tata State India. Last point, references. You should refer the papers which we have read while writing the reports. Every paper or journal is having their own referencing style. You must follow that particular referencing style. Structure of the references is it includes name of the authors, paper title, name of the journal or proceedings, volume number, page number and year of publications. When you are writing the second paper or second reference, you should follow the same referencing style. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, comments, please write to sandeepkharat78@gmail.com or you can give comments to the video. Thank you so much and wish you all the best.